What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another tropical forecast here on Tropical Depression 11. It is trying to get the tropical storm force wind extent here to possibly be the 10th named storm we've had so far this Atlantic hurricane season. It would be Josephine. We're really watching out as this could possibly start to reorganize, as it did go through a couple hours of shear. So I think this storm could very well redeem itself. It's not the most organized on RI, but it is getting there. We actually have a new area of convection starting to blow up, so that's an area of concern. They're really watching out. National Hurricane Center does expect it to be a tropical storm as early as 8 p.m. today, so they have actually updated it to a lot sooner than expected. We also now have tracks now heading towards a west-northwest turn. So maybe this may or may not go out to sea. I don't think this will go out to sea, but we're really watching out. Maybe could see U.S. impacts. That obviously is too far to say, but I wouldn't rule out the possibility of an U.S. impact here with soon-to-be Josephine. Before we get the video, please subscribe if you're new. Thank you guys all for all the support in the past days. Also, like the video if you really enjoyed the video, show your awesome support. And also, be sure to hit the post notification icon so you get notified as soon as I do a video. Without further ado, let's get this tropical outlook. Here's a look now here at the National Hurricane Center. As you see here, we have Tropical Depression 11 here in the middle of the tropical Atlantic here. We do obviously have some shear to the south. We do have some drier to the north of this. So it seems like it's surrounded. But really, this drier will start to fall apart, and this is going away from the shear slowly. So this is why I still think this will be a named storm, maybe even a long track storm, possibly heading like that, or something maybe even possibly like this. So really watching out for possibly U.S. impact still. Days out from that if it even happens. Models, only CMC as of now shows a North Carolina landfall on the last update. Models have shifted a little bit more to the south and also taking more of a west-northwest turn. So I think possibilities have maybe increased a tad for U.S. impacts or landfall. But here's Tropical Depression 11. Here's 35 miles an hour. It's trying to really get the tropical storm strength by the end of today. It has dropped 1 millibars, actually at 1,008 millibars earlier today. And here it is now at 1,007 millibars, and it is now slowed down, and it is now at 14 miles an hour to the west. So it was actually at 15 earlier today at the 8 a.m. update, but this is this. But now let's go and check out now a look at R. I know this one's really falling apart here. Also, to mention, I will be having my own forecast and maps and cone all at the end of the video, so be sure to stay tuned for that. But without further ado, let's go check out a look at the IR brightness here. So here's a look here. As you see, it definitely has fallen apart. Let me just tell you, it definitely has fallen apart. But right here, there's a decent blow up of convection right here. That's how the storm looked so organized last night. That's what it looked like. So really watching out right here. It has fallen apart. It is a phase. It's gone through some shear. So really not the first time this has happened. So just because this is happening doesn't mean it's going to fall apart and not become a tropical storm. This has happened 3 times already, and then it has redeemed itself. So, you know, this could just be another cycle where some shear gets to it and then it closes back off. And as you see, this could be a sign of it actually coming back together. As you see there, you have a little area of blow-up convection that could possibly be the new center. Because after the shear gets to the storm, it kind of splits in half, becomes scattered, and then it starts to develop a new center area of convection here, which I think this could very well be the process of that actually happening. Obviously, it's a slow but surely process, and it's actually really organizing. Let's take a look now at RI brightness. As you see, or not our satellite imagery here, zoomed out. As you see, definitely opens up a bit, but it's trying to develop a big area of convection right there. As you see, kind of pops up, boom, starts to create some convection there. So definitely was more organized, has opened up a ton. Let me just tell you that. Not the most organized, but obviously this is a tropical depression, soon to be tropical storm, so you kind of expect it to look pretty organized. But yeah, the thing's definitely opened up a good bit. That shear really got to it in the south. Yeah, definitely opening up, but look right there. That's where that convection is starting to blow up right there, and it just takes one little blow up to create a whole new center and a lot more organized. But here is Tropical Depression 11 here in the tropical Atlantic. Very well could possibly be Josephine by the end of today. I'm saying earliest 5 p.m., latest for today 11 p.m. I think in between maybe 8 and 11 is guaranteed. or a higher probability for this to be named if it really starts to organize. I mean, it organized extremely fast after Shear last night. It really took a toll. It really came back to life. So if this happens, I think that could very well happen. But let's go and check out now. Look at all the information, the cone, the timing, and all of that ahead. So here's a look at the current track here. 95, or now tropical depression 11 has taken, as you see, was a disturbance here. It was 95L right here, and it has actually gone a good bit. It is now obviously a tropical depression here. There it is in those dots there, tropical depression. And as you see, here the University of Miami expected to be a tropical storm. That's that blue line. They do expect it to be a tropical depression, or sorry, storm. And it should be a storm in the next 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours. They even expect it to be a tropical storm as far as the next 120 hours. So this could be a long track tropical storm. People are doubting that because right here is where people think it's going to die because that shear, that dryer. Well, if it organizes, it's going to obviously decrease the possibility of it actually getting taken apart. Also, the shear is falling. It's actually more to the south, so the more it goes north, the less it's there. And also that dryer, we all saw, it kind of falls apart in between. It has a perfect area to go through. But if you follow this, if you follow it, possibly goes like that. Maybe like, it's actually the worst area I've ever done. Possibly something where it possibly goes like that. Maybe just avoiding the areas of the Carolinas, the Outer Banks. Maybe like that. Or maybe even something where it actually goes closer and then does this. It kind of, instead of taking a huge northern turn, I think it could actually go more west, northwest, then take a turn like that. That's what I'm thinking. Or where it goes like this and then just hits the Outer Banks. You know, I expect this to possibly hit the U.S. Obviously, it's not, as of now, models don't really show that or support that. But something to notice is that the new National Hurricane Center update at 11 a.m. did show the cone more to the south, which is actually, the more south this cone is, the more likely for a U.S. impact here. So if it continues to move more south, then this is definitely something to keep in mind here. Obviously, it's days out to long track system. It's literally right here, and we're all here's the coast right here. It has plenty of time here, so obviously the models can can change multiple times here, but I mean, we all saw what his eyes, how much it changed from the Gulf to out to sea, really. But this could very well become something interesting as we get in the next coming days. We get more information, more accurate. Models haven't been the most accurate, and models in the National Hurricane Center do have a history of underestimating long track systems, including Dorian, including Irma, and even including Michael. So those are some big storms that were obviously major hurricanes at the point where they were obviously Category 5s. So to keep in mind. But let's go and check out now, look at all more details on the track, models, and intensity guidance. So here's the new National Hurricane Center update. As you see, for those people who knew who saw the 8 a.m. update, you guys knew that the cone was a bit more to the north. But as you see, they expect it to possibly be a tropical storm as early as today. So there's 8 a.m. So this would be 8 p.m. today. They expect this to be a tropical storm by 8 p.m. today. And here's the cone for the next 3 days. So by the next 3 days, 72 hours, that's Saturday, this could very well still be a tropical storm. So as you see, this is kind of the current track for the eye. As you see, it possibly will, it very well could avoid Puerto Rico and the Lesser Antilles. If any land in the Caribbean will get a landfall, it'll probably be the Lesser Antilles and the U.S. Virgin Islands there. But here's the cone. As you see, the kind of takes a slight turn to the north at that point. So I'm guessing the National Hurricane Center is going to show that something like that. But obviously, the National Hurricane Center should Isaiah's going to the Gulf at some point. So obviously, long track storms, you got to really pay attention. Actually, sometimes in long track storms, you got to really use your gut and the atmospheric conditions. And not really, sometimes the National Hurricane Center models aren't the most accurate or not the most reliable. I do expect this possibly to have, I expect this, since it's long track, for this cone to change multiple times in the tracks. I expect us to have a northern trend. I expect us to have a southern trend. That's the trend here, not east and west like Isaias. We're going to be seeing a north and south trend. So the more north this cone is, obviously the more likely it avoids the U.S. And the more south this goes, the more likely it hits the U.S. So I wouldn't rule out the possibility for a U.S. landfall here for the Carolinas, but really watching out the possibility. But as far as Monday, this could be still a tropical storm. Like I'm saying, this could very well be a long track living storm. Let's go and check out now the model guidance here for the tracks. As you see, we're actually starting to see more of a southern trend. As you see, we have a lot of models now getting to the point where it's actually going basically west-northwest instead of taking that big northern turn. That will make a big impact where it misses the U.S. or it hits the U.S. just by a little bit, like a Arthur skinning the Outer Banks, but obviously a landfall. So we are starting to see a lot more models taking it to. We're starting to see a lot more models taking it to a west-northwestern turn, which will obviously at some point, if you keep on going to that turn, it will impact the United States. And obviously we have like three models taking that northern turn. The AVNI, those aren't the most accurate, guys. These are not global models here. The global models of the UK, the Hawaiian here, these are global models, but these are not global models, so they aren't the most reliable here. But starting to see more of a southern trend based on the comparing the 11 a.m. to the 8 a.m. update. Let's check out the model intensity guidance. As you see here, we can very well have a tropical storm as early as the next 12 hours. Or as late as the next 60 hours. As you see, a lot of the models, though, getting closer to that between the next 36 hours. I'm not saying this will be named by today. I'm thinking it's very, very likely. The National Hurricane Center shows that they changed it. And you see the most models agree on it between the next 12 and 24 hours. So 12 hours at 11 a.m. That'll be 11 p.m. So possibly being a tropical storm by 11 p.m. I think this could be a tropical storm as early as 8 p.m. what the National Hurricane Center is showing. Here's the tropical storm line here, except as you see a ton of models do getting to that tropical storm force winds over 39 miles an hour. Not only that, we're seeing an increase. Some models yesterday were showing just getting over tropical storm like that. But now we have models getting to a moderate, even a strong tropical storm. I'm not going to rule out a hurricane, guys. I will not rule out a hurricane. I know that seems like I'm really over dramatic on this, but trust me, after this passes the Lesser Antilles, it will have favorable conditions. If it avoids the Caribbean islands like models show, that means it's going to have more water to go over, which will mean those strengthen more. Obviously, dry air is going to be way to the south at that point. The only issue is the next 24 hours. That's where we have the shear and the dry air. But beyond the next 24 hours, conditions to be a lot clearer and a lot more favorable to withstand a tropical system, which is why I think a hurricane, I would not rule out the possibility. And you guys can say I'm clickbaiting or all that, but trust me, guys, I won't say it's gonna be I wouldn't say I won't rule out for a hurricane for no reason. I am really using the atmospheric conditions here. But even there's a huge improvement here. More models show a moderate hurricane at the 60 miles an hour, maybe even up to possibly 70 miles an hour here. I think we'll definitely see an increase, especially when this officially when this officially gets named, possibly by earliest today. This could very well increase up into maybe seeing one or two models getting to the yellow there. So very interesting. But let's go and check out the global model and see what GFS, CMC, and all those models show for track, wind shear, and also humidity. So here's a look now at the GFS here. As you see, they do show that's the next 72 hours. Let's actually go to currently. Currently here we are seeing some, oh my gosh, oopsie. As you see, we are having a teeny little dry, oh my gosh, why is it going back to 72 hours? Oh my gosh, okay. Currently, here we have the system right here. Nice moisture bubble. There's a dry air all to the north and to the west. So basically surrounded by dry air. You're probably saying, how to survive, Adrian? Just look at in front of it. Well, look. The more the system advances forward, the more this dry air is getting pushed to the west, which means it won't be ahead of the system. As you see, the next 42 hours having a nice moisture bubble at 1,002 millibars. And then as you see, it kind of weakens a bit because GFS showed it opening up to a little dry air within the next 78 hours. And then it possibly redeemed itself a teeny bit there. It possibly redeemed itself and then gets a little moisture back. But, you know, GFS isn't the most reliable. I have not really believed that. I have not believed the GFS 100% in a while. Let's go check out now wind shear. As you see, there's a decent amount of shear to the south of this low pressure, which is exactly why it has fallen apart. But watch as we go further on in the day, this starts to really get separated from that shear. Less than 30 knots here actually, and look, as we get forward on, could have a teeny little amount of shear, but that's actually not going to be over that low pressure this time. And then this advances, and as you see, this low pressure is right here. It's actually surrounded by shear, but we have a little area where that low pressure is over at less than 12 knots. So there will be shear around the system, but it doesn't mean it's going to fall apart. That shear has to be extremely, if not right over that low pressure system. GFS, as you see, 1,007 millibars currently, gets it possibly up to 1,002 up the next 48 hours, and then it should possibly at that point really falling apart. GFS obviously isn't the most reliable. Something that I'm really interested in is the CMC model. I think the CMC model is onto something based on the last time I checked. There it is. At 1,007 millibars, slowly strengthening. Look as it goes towards the Bahamas. Watch, it actually takes that west-northwest turn. I said it's taking that west-northwestern track instead of a direct northern track, and it's possibly gonna affect the Bahamas and possibly make landfall in North Carolina. I think that's very well likely. I would not rule out the possibility. I think that Bermuda has gonna really block it out from going out to sea. Look where it is. It's a very strong high pressure system. It's gonna really block it out. And it's like, nope, you're staying to the east here, or sorry, staying to the west. I think it's very well possible where it goes obviously north of Puerto Rico, goes like this, and then boom, scoops right up the Carolinas. I think that's possible. I have a feeling this won't go out to sea. I said that about Isaias, and look what happened. So obviously this is not Isaias, but I'm just giving you a recent storm that I was right on, not going out to sea. Obviously models are showing it's going out to sea, but it's long track. It will change multiple times, but I think the CMC is definitely on the something. Check out the icon model. I've actually not checked the icon in a while since last night here. Icon gets us to 1,007 millibars, 1,006, and then it takes it kind of out to sea right towards Bermuda there. But that's that. But let me go ahead and check out now. Let me show you guys my cone and a potential outcome track. Do not take this track 100%, but let's go and show that out. So here is my cone for this system here. This is my cone. So if you're this center of this low pressure can go anywhere in the res. So as you see, I extend this cone, possibly Puerto Rico, northern Lesser Antilles, even portions of the Dominican Republic. You guys are in the cone. Obviously, just because you're in the cone doesn't mean you're gonna get a direct landfall. It means it's possible. I mean, this low pressure can go anywhere in this cone. It can go, for example, it can go here, it can go here, and it can go even here. It can go anywhere. So just because you're in the cone doesn't mean you have to freak out, and just you have to be on the lookout. But as you see, I take this cone all the way up into the United States. It kind of goes a little bit west-northwest, and then takes a big turn to the north there. As you see there, the Bahamas, the eastern Bahamas, you guys are in the track or cone, sorry, and even the Carolinas and the portions of the East Coast. I think the possibility of this system going over U.S. soil is increasing, but obviously if there's a northern trend, it will decrease. I think the chances for U.S. landfall will go up and down, up and down, up and down, as it's a long track system. It really changes a lot, but this is my cone there. It includes South Carolina all the way up into areas of Maine. So sadly, the Carolinas, see, one mile shows a landfall for North Carolina. So gotta keep that in mind there. But this is my cone, and let me go ahead and now show a potential outcome track-wise. Alright, so this is the potential track. So do not take this 100%. Please do not take this 100%. This is the one outcome. This is one outcome. And I think this could possibly happen. Not 100%. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm saying it could possibly happen. So as you see, it's a tropical depression there by the end of today. As you see, tropical storm in that light blue. I see this becoming a borderline tropical storm officially around 8 or 11 p.m. There are those updates in the National Hurricane Center. And it's going to be a long track tropical storm. It's going to last from there all the way up into the Bahamas. I think this could definitely survive to the point where it doesn't go back to depression. I think the dryer could possibly weaken it, and open it up a little bit, but I don't think it's going to take it to the point where it completely dies. And hear me out. Hear me out. I think a hurricane isn't out of the picture, category 1, because if it does survive this dryer and doesn't become unnamed, it won't have any threats between here and here. This is a lot of water. That is hundreds of miles of warm water. And if this outcome happens, it won't touch any of the Caribbean islands, which means no land, no decrease in winds, no decrease in strength. That's a big threat because these waters are very warm, 30 degrees Celsius and even 31 degrees Celsius here in this whole area. So that's a big threat. So hear me out. I'm not saying hurricane's going to happen. This is one outcome. There's like 6 outcomes with this storm. This is one outcome, and then it possibly makes landfall in North Carolina as a hurricane. Again, this is one outcome. Do not take this 100% seriously. Please do not. I don't want to see the comments all over this map. Please do not. So this is general track, and obviously the cone. This was like the cone. This was obviously the cone like that. So it kind of goes in the middle of the cone there. But major hurricane, I don't see that. Category 2, it's very low, but I wouldn't rule out the possibility. Again, this all depends on how much it weakens from that dry air. So we can't, once it passes the dry air, we can tell. But as of now, it's not 100%. So guys, hope you guys did enjoy that short video here on Tropical Depression 11. I will try to have another video late this evening. Bye guys.